Hey guys, this is Justin. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome to another video. So, I love iceberg charts, and they're basically the visualization of the idea that the average person only knows a little bit of information about a particular subject. And the deeper you dive into something, the more strange information you can find out. Iceberg charts, especially ones about media, are typically filled with fan theories and conspiracies that get stranger the deeper on the chart you go. My friend Luke, who runs the channel Hidden Xperia, did a really cool iceberg chart all about the Halo universe. We've done one about Super Mario 64 over on X2. Today we will be talking about Star Wars. Now, this is just almost like a prototype for a video. I'm going to keep this one pretty short, only cover a couple of things on each level. But if you're interested, I definitely wouldn't mind putting together a really long video on a Star Wars iceberg chart, maybe about the expanded universe or about Star Wars as a whole. Just let me know down below and make sure you like this video if you enjoy it. As I mentioned, the chart that I picked today was the highest rated Star Wars post on r/iceberg charts. It's by Reddit user Semideus. So with that said, let's get started with the first level. One example of an entry-level bit of knowledge is Willrow Hood. Many of you guys probably know him as the Ice Cream Man or the Ice Cream Maker dude. You see him on Cloud City. He's holding what looks like an ice cream machine, a prop that was actually brought back for The Mandalorian, and he has a pretty wild level of fame among Star Wars fans, and there's even a whole contingent of people who dress up as him. Another one that's kind of interesting is Luke's second lightsaber origin. I assume this is referring to the deleted scene in Return of the Jedi where Luke is switching on his lightsaber. Again, something that you may have heard of if you're a Star Wars fan, but also an interesting bit of trivia. The last one I'll mention is E.T. in the Senate, and yeah, if you watch The Phantom Menace, you can see a Senate pod with members of E.T.'s species. Let's move on now, and we'll cover a couple more from this level. Prime Jedi is actually the symbol on the side there. It's a Star Wars canon idea that there was one Jedi who founded the Order on Acto. R5-D4, being Force sensitive, is the tale of Skippy the Jedi droid. Not canon, it was a part of the Star Wars Tales series, but a fun little story that gets brought up somewhat strangely to point out how ridiculous the EU is typically, even though it was, well, never canon. And Shaak Ti deaths refers to the fact that Shaak Ti was killed in multiple different ways in the deleted scenes of Revenge of the Sith. I believe once is by Anakin when he's storming the temple, and I believe the other is on the Invisible Hand. Alright, moving down to just below the water, you can see why it's sometimes difficult to analyze these icebergs. Maybe if I do a longer video, I'll create one myself. For example, doppelganger could refer to a variety of things. Not exactly sure what they mean here, but I know David Felth is a somewhat famous Star Wars EU character who sort of represents the fact that in the heyday of the expanded universe, lots of characters who would appear just in movies would get full backstories. Dragons is probably referring to one of the many Star Wars EU dragon species, most famously the Dween Wogan, who are actually name-dropped as early as the Thrawn trilogy. Human Jabba refers to the fact that there was actually a Jabba scene filmed for episode 4. Jabba was a human, however. You've probably seen the reconstructed version where Jabba is transformed into, well, a giant slug, but that wasn't originally the case. Dryden Voss collection refers to the fact that Dryden Voss in Solo has a bunch of weird artifacts, some of which make reference to the Star Wars expanded universe. My favorite one is definitely the crystal skull from Brian Daley's Han Solo in The Lost Legacy. Moving down deeper to the next level, we have Imperial Accent. That's the idea that Imperials in Star Wars, especially in the original trilogy, typically spoke with a British accent. That's sort of described later as being a Coruscant or a Core Worlds accent. You can even hear Leia turn it on when she's talking with people like Grand Moff Tarkin. Kind of cool. The Wampa attack deleted scene is probably referring to a deleted scene from episode 5 where C-3PO rips a piece of paper off a door warning that there's Wampas and they attack stormtroopers. The scene is just so ridiculous, I'm glad it's cut, but it's also, I think, one of the only situations where paper is actually shown in Star Wars, so that's kind of funny. Kit Fisto as a Sith is an interesting one. Basically, Kit Fisto was originally designed, or his design rather, was meant to be a new Sith Lord for, I believe, episode 2. Obviously that didn't work, so they repurposed him as a Jedi. This is far from the only time something like that happened in the prequel trilogy, and you actually see it, I think, more frequently with ships, which will sometimes be designed for the Republic or the CIS, then assigned to the other faction. Alright, moving on even deeper, we've got some more interesting ones. We've got Clone Wars before the prequels. This is one I've actually covered an entire video. Basically, the Clone Wars are name dropped in episode 4, but not expanded on until much later. Many different types of media tried to grapple with what the Clone Wars could be. In the Thrawn trilogy, we get some vague allusions to the fact that clone masters set armies of clones against the galaxy. In the Marvel comics, like we see with this image here, there's a different idea, kind of with the same idea though, that clones were running amok, so pretty interesting. Legends Maul Return is also one that I've covered in a prior video. Basically, Darth Maul is brought back to life to fight and test Darth Vader. Bigger Luke is actually one of the most famous Star Wars fan theories that exists, partially because it's so ridiculous. It's basically the idea that at some point in the original trilogy, Luke Skywalker is replaced by a version of him that is slightly bigger. Humans as Bees is another sort of fan theory which talks about how sociologically humans in Star Wars are different from humans in real life. It's sort of, I think, a parody of the fact that there aren't that many women, especially in the original trilogy Star Wars movies, and that you don't see ordinary families and whatever else. Alright, continuing down even deeper, we have Sword of the Jedi. So Sword of the Jedi is not only a title, one that's given to Jaina Solo, but also was meant to be a new trilogy, at least, of Star Wars novels that was never finished because of Disney's purchasing of Lucasfilm. The Philosophy of Kreia, I'm assuming, is a reference to that YouTube video that pops up everywhere. I haven't actually gotten around to watching it yet. I'm sure it's good, but I think most Star Wars fans at one point have seen reference to it. C-3PO penis card? You can Google that yourself. Just, it's going to be pretty much exactly what you expect. And I assume Missing Inquisitors is just referring to the fact that we don't know, based on Inquisitor numbering, all of the Star Wars canon Inquisitors. Moving on. The picture in the second last layer is that of the Sitter. He's basically a guru-like character from Jakku. I guess the theory is this far deep because people are assuming there's something more mysterious about him. I don't know. The Fourth Precept is a very cool comic from Star Wars Visionaries. I might cover it in the future, but like a lot of the comics in Star Wars Visionaries, including Old Wounds and the weird one with Palpatine, I forget the name of, it's non-canon and very out there. This one is just weird, abstract illustrations of the battle of good against evil. It's wacky, it's not very Star Wars-like, which I assume is why it's so deep on this list. Jenny is a woman who appears in the Mos Eisley Cantina. There was going to be a scene where she was basically macking on Han Solo, but it doesn't exist. You can still see her, I believe, in the movie. Alright, moving on to the bottom list, we have Supernatural Encounters. So Supernatural Encounters was a Star Wars project that was being worked on when Disney purchased Lucasfilm. It's being finished and expanded by the original author. It goes deep into the esoteric bits of the lore. Mos Eisley Astronaut is a dude in an astronaut suit you can see at Mos Eisley. Star Wars City, like Turkish Star Wars, I believe is a movie which has Star Wars in its name but is nowhere near official. And the Zool, as featured in the image here, is a really creepy species that appears in episode 3. But guys, that's basically it. This is my quick browse through the Star Wars Iceberg. Is there more you'd like me to cover? Did you find this type of video enjoyable? Let me know, and maybe I'll cover more in the future. Until next time though, guys, be safe, have a good one, may the Force be with you.